Well, hello everybody. I haven't done a video like this using my phone in quite a while. I tried to do this video the other day on using my laptop. So a while ago, my laptop camera stopped working. And then the damn camera that I bought from Best Buy at the advice of some young punk working there, it just keeps going in and out of focus. I was 14 minutes into this video that I'm making right now, and it went blurry, and it would not refocus. So I don't know if I have quite the same enthusiasm today for this, but I I wanted to get this video out at the first of the year, but it's now the 5th as I'm recording this. You can see I have a huge stack of albums. This is my year in collecting for 2024, and this right here, these are all jazz albums. This is probably the biggest year for collecting jazz that I've had. It's the smallest. I love a lot of the old stuff. It's the smallest section of my collection. So, I'm not going to go through everything. There's just Louis Armstrong, Count Basie, a ton of Art Blakey in here. Some of these, my friend Rob out in British Columbia, who I've mentioned before, some of these he's responsible for me buying or getting into. Sonny Clark, Miles Davis. I got one of my two favorite Miles Davis albums on vinyl this year. I was really excited about that. 7 Steps to Heaven. That's a fantastic album. My other favorite happens to be Sketches of Spain. Rob was playing this one day, Grant Green. Just a phenomenal jazz guitar with called Green Street. This was reissued, I believe, last year, this year. I got a repress of Herbie Hancock's debut album, which was phenomenal. One of the more unique ones I found in here. I'd never even heard of this. It came from crate digging. Somebody named Rufus Harley, Bagpipe Blues. It's really a jazz album, but it's got some bagpipes on it. Just a ton of other stuff. Here's another guy I'd never even heard of, J.J. Johnson, or I'd seen the name, but I didn't realize what a tremendous talent he was. Clifford Brown, John Lewis, Kenny Clark, and Charlie Mingus are all on here. Just Hank Mobley, a bunch of Thelonious Monk in here. Here's the other of all the jazz albums, my two favorites that I bought this year. I have been after Crisscross by Monk for ages on vinyl. I've had the CD for years. I bought it at the sadly defunct Jazz Record Mart in Chicago. Just one. Bud Powell I got into this year. Wayne Shorter. I got a bunch of Horace Silver. Well, a bunch. I got 3. The most recently I picked up Blowin' the Blues Away by Horace Silver with both his quintet and his trio. And man, what a year for jazz collecting it was for me. Excuse me while I kind of set these down somewhat gently, I hope. So, anywho, wow, that was a lot to go through very quickly. I have some lemon orange tea here instead of coffee because I've had a ridiculous amount of coffee today in my tea bagging mug. And that's fantastic. So, past that, I wasn't quite sure where to go. Couple of different artists I wanted to mention. I got a Holy Grail item this year. I was able to snag from Off the Record in Grand Haven an original 83 press of Born Again by Black Sabbath. A lot of people aren't aware of this. It's the one they did with Ian Gillan from Deep Purple on vocals. I've been a fan of this album for years and years. The band themselves, they hated the album cover, which I can't blame them. They weren't a fan of the original mix. There's still rumors that Tony Iommi is putting together a box set or a proper remix of this. We'll see. He has done for quite a lot of the other stuff, and we're going to get to that in a little while. A dubiously legal live collection, Deep Black, from 1984 from the tour for Born Again. It did not have, this had Geezer Butler, Bill Ward, and Tony Iommi. Bill Ward sat out on drums for the tour, and Bev Bevan from ELO was actually on it, but this is a ferocious document. Opens with Children of the Grave, Hotline and War Pigs, and closes with Paranoid. You know, there's the somewhat critically maligned live cover of Smoke on the Water here, but you know what? It's all fantastic. I love that live album so much. There were... I didn't buy a whole lot of albums this year, like new albums. And the ones I did, for the most part, were by established artists. This one, the record wasn't available, so I got the CD. Jim Cuddy, All the World Fades Away. This is a very mature, grown-up album. You know, he's in his 60s now. Cuddy, best known for his work with Blue Rodeo, has a fairly significant solo career as well. A couple of the guys from the band from Blue Rodeo play here. It opens with a song called Learn to Live Alone, and I don't think he's a widower, from what I could tell looking online, but it's an album about growing up and growing old, and I love it, and his voice is always phenomenal. The great Joe Ely is unstoppable, and he never puts out a bad record. I ordered the CD and the vinyl, pre-ordered from his website so I could get them. You can't really tell, but I got them they came autographed. This is a concept record. You know, it's called Driven to Drive, and I wanted to make sure I got that right because I almost got it backwards. But it's all about being on the road and road trips, etc., etc. So it's a lot of fun. If you haven't checked it out, you love Texas music like I do, Joe Ely, Driven to Drive, the new record in 2024, is as good as anything he's ever done, and that says a lot because he never fails to put out great records. So then the rest of the measly little bit that I bought that are new, again, we're going to get to reissues in a little while. But, and again, so behind me, that's all the stuff up there that I also bought that I'm not talking about. I did discover a band real late in the year called Teddy and the Rough Riders. And this is sort of cosmic, folky, Americana, singer-songwriter stuff. I heard a song called Catfish Summer, which is the single off this one. And it came out late in the year. Great harmonies, just great Americana music. Opposite end of the spectrum, Zakk Wylde's Black Sabbath cover band, Doomed Forever and Forever Doomed. It's actually, in their entirety, Paranoid and Master of Reality. And Zakk and the band just do a phenomenal job. A lot of people called that their album of the year. Wasn't mine, but I loved it enough to buy it. Boy, in the nick of time for the end of the year, I picked up the new live Ryan Bingham record. Live at Red Rocks, Ryan Bingham and the Texas Gentlemen. Some of you out there might know him from the show Yellowstone. He is an actual cowboy in real life, or was. His songs are very personal. Great sort of outlaw country stuff. I'm so happy I bought that. And then you can see part of it here, sort of giving it away, my two albums of the year. Tied, Invincible Shield by Judas Priest. This thing, holy smokes. Halford sounds as great as he ever has. The band is firing on all cylinders. The song The Serpent and the King is the spiritual successor to Painkiller. I understand it took quite a few takes in the studio to get it right where he wanted, but so what? The guy's 72 and singing his brains out, we'll say. Singing his guts. If you're a Priest fan or if you're a traditional heavy metal fan and you don't have this, shame on you. And the other album of the year at the opposite end of the spectrum is The Fear of Standing Still by American Aquarium. This is the standard version of it. They've been my band, for a couple of years now. Really, I discovered them 2 years ago thanks to the song Wildfire on the then current Chickamaucomico record. And so this is not only a worthy follow-up, it's a fantastic standalone album on its own. I love the song Cherokee Purples, and about heirloom tomatoes and just growing up and reminiscing, and then The Curse of Growing Old, and just some of the best writing B.J. Barham has done. Last year I got in on the crowdfunding effort, which the band has offered for the last few albums, I guess. Again, I'm newer into the band, just in the last 2 years, where you pledge $50, you get an alternate cover and an alternate pressing, and the band signs it. And so this is the alternate cover, and the pressing, for as much as I'm not a big fan of colored vinyl, this is a pretty sweet Cherokee Purples swirl. And yes, it does sound as good as the standard black. So there you go. Where the heck? Well, I had them. Oh, you know what? I put them over here. I've got stuff all over right now. Last year, not only did that come out, but I managed to procure these two albums online. Both happen to be signed by B.J. Barham, which is fantastic. The sold out albums on their website, so that's why I had to go to the secondhand market. Slappers, Bangers, and Certified Twangers Volume 1 feature, and these are all cover songs, and there's a Volume 2 that I love just as much, maybe more, but maybe the highlight of this one here is they cover Should Have Been a Cowboy by Toby Keith, which you might, if you know Americana or American Aquarium, might not make sense, but it really does. And then the Day Trotter sessions recorded in 2013 and 2010 respectively, so different lineups of the band. But by getting these, I now have everything they've ever put out on vinyl, which, you know me, is absolutely, the curse is real, right? The curse of the collector is real. That's just how it is. You have to forgive me, I'm a little parched. A couple of just individual bands or artists I wanted to talk about that I just got into this year, and this is a local Michigan act. It is Jesse Ray and the Carolina Catfish. It's a duo, great boogie-woogie, blues-based Michigan garage rock. And this is his solo album, The Reverend Jesse Ray, that just came out toward the end of this year. This was actually recorded at the beginning, it came out at the end of last year. This was recorded last January at Off the Record, and it was released for Record Store Day. And you can see it actually has a picture of the inside of the record store, and it's signed by the band members. I play this one a lot. I have played it a ton just in the couple of months that I've had it. When I do my Friday night live sessions, I prop that right up there with Full House Live and AC/DC and all that kind of great stuff. It fits right in. It's fantastic. And then speaking, before I get to something else, I procured 3 more copies of Full House Live. And so this one I got toward the beginning of the year, and it's a Brazilian pressing. This one is a standard American pressing. A coworker / friend of mine ordered it online, and it came with this sticker, and he said, do you have one of those? I said, no, I don't. So I actually ordered a standard version online, traded him, and I got that. And then the same coworker talked to Santa Claus and got me something very special. I thought, when I opened this Christmas morning, I thought he was just playing around. But it's signed by Jay Giles and Magic Dick. And man, that's special to me to finally, I guess in all my collecting, I had never thought of getting an autographed copy. And so my friend is now instrumental in getting 2, and so I'm up to 15 pressings, mostly all different, but 15 pressings of that darn record. So who knows what 2025 is going to bring. It might be the first year in a long time where I don't get any new copies of that, but maybe I'll have to start going to CD and 8-track and cassette then. Real quick, these 2 acts I linked together because I got into Jamie Lynn Wilson's music. She's a Texas singer-songwriter, does great stuff, has 2 full-length albums out and some EPs and singles and such. This one is Holidays and Wedding Rings, and I like it a lot. This one is a little more subdued and even more introspective. It's called Jumping Over Rocks, and it has this beautiful song that just happened to come up on a suggested playlist on Spotify. So I do stream, you know, sometimes at work, and if I'm sitting out with a cigar or whatever. And she wrote this with Evan Felker from the Turnpike Troubadours, called Oklahoma Stars. And sort of then at the same time, the Turnpike Troubadours started coming up. And I'm sad I haven't been into their music before that. And so the song Before the Devil Knows We're Dead was on Sirius XM radio one day. And I love the opening on this one, called Gin, Smoke, and Lies. And actually, Jamie Lynn Wilson sings on the song Call a Spade on here. And then the Turnpike's version of Oklahoma Stars, written by Evan Felker and Jamie Lynn Wilson, and she sings on here. So they sing on each other's records. And then this is their most recent record. I picked it up, called A Cat in the Rain. And so every one of these is a fantastic Americana singer-songwriter album that I suggest everything that I'd say I suggest, but I suggest everything I'm showing you. Record Store Day, the first one was fantastic. The second one, not so much. It didn't really have things I wanted. But the highlights from the first one for me, back in 2018, Roger McGuinn and Chris Hillman of the Byrds used Marty Stewart and his Fabulous Superlatives to reimagine the Sweetheart of the Rodeo record for its 50th anniversary. They did a short tour. This is the evidence of that tour. It is one of the best musical albums you'll ever hear. So they rearranged the song order. They sort of tell the history of the Byrds as well. For anybody not familiar, Marty Stewart is not just a killer musician, but he's a country music historian, and he plays Clarence White's guitar on there, and he's had it for years. The other highlight of the first Record Store Day this last year, I keep saying this year, but we're 5 days away, was Neil and the Horse, Fucking Up Live. They took the audience, the in-between stuff off of here, so you get just the music, but it's they take the entire Ragged Glory minus the last song, and they perform it all live, and they stretch the songs out. And this was done, recorded I think 2 years ago, and came out last year, or maybe early last year. I can't remember exactly, but Uncle Neil and the Horse doing Ragged Glory live. They give the songs different titles, but it's Ragged Glory live. And then the biggest surprise to me, and this is one I wasn't even originally after, but the talk of it was so good, and then I heard part of it, that I had to track it down, and I was able to find it at a record store out of New York for a reasonable price, is the 1987 show from the 6-disc set Electric on the Eel by the Jerry Garcia Band. And this is a 3-record set, originally 2 CDs. I got into the Dead a bit more this year. I got Terrapin Station, and from the Mars Hotel reissue, and Wake of the Flood reissue. And I have to say, I don't know if this is sacrilege or not. The more I listen to the Jerry Garcia band, the more I kind of lean toward Jerry's stuff live versus strictly the Dead's. Yeah, just opening with How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You, and It Stoned Me by Van Morrison. There's a bunch of Bob Dylan covers on here. They close with Tangled Up in Blue, a extended jam on that. Musicianship-wise, this is one of the best records you'll ever hear. So if you happen to see it, pick it up. The CDs are available online at a much more reasonable price. But, man, I had to have that. And I'm so glad I did. I sat down, I listened to the entire thing and from front to back, and it was, my word, it was revelatory. And so, let's keep going here. There are a ton of reissues this year that I got. Oh, heck. So here's the first half. Albert King, Live Wire Blues Power. I have wanted that, a good pressing of that for a very long time. Howlin' Wolf on Record Store Day. Motorhead Remorse No, which is a bunch of alternate tracks. I call it a reissue because all of these have been available elsewhere on one CD or another. Captain Beefheart Spotlight Kid did a good job on. Uncle Neil put out Doom. So, you know, this was originally released as Zuma, I believe. And so, anyway, it's got some of those songs, plus it's got a bunch of stuff that didn't make the original album. It was a cool reissue. And then, boy, the second half here. Yeah. For Record Store Day, I picked up Phases and Stages by Willie Nelson, a 2-record set with a bunch of alternate takes that I have on CD already, but who cares? Tony Iommi and Glenn Hughes, the 1996 Depth Sessions. This really redeems the steaming pile of crap that Seventh Star was to me. A lot of people love that album from 1986 by Black Sabbath, or Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi. I think it's a terrible record. This one's phenomenal. Iron Maiden Power Slave 40th anniversary. It's actually a picture disc, which I didn't know, and I may not have bought it if I'd have known, but the sound on here is really cool, and it's got some notes from Steve Harris. The previously mentioned Mars Hotel 50th anniversary. And damn it, I had to get the self-titled Warren Zevon record. I didn't even know that this 2-LP set was coming out. The bonus tracks on the second record have all been available either streaming or on CD for years. I didn't have them, and so, being the Zevon fanatic that I am, I saw it, I didn't think twice about it. Which leads me to a couple of other things that I bought this year for my Zevon collection. Shooter Jennings and the Werewolves of Los Angeles do Zevon. Yes, that Shooter Jennings, son of Waylon, producer extraordinaire, songwriter extraordinaire. It's a live record of Warren Zevon covers, and it's fantastic. And then I finally picked up the tribute from years ago called Enjoy Every Sandwich, which I played, and it's beautiful. Opens with Searching for a Heart by Don Henley. Adam Sandler does a tremendous version. Yes, that Adam Sandler, the comedian, does a tremendous version of Werewolves of London. Just one great song after another. A very slowed down introspective version done live in concert by Bruce Springsteen of My Rides Here. Just, if you find it, pick it up. And then Headless in Boston, the 1982 radio broadcast. I picked up the CD only because I knew that the vinyl would be just the same digital recording, and the record is going for stupid amounts of money, whereas this cost me less than 20. And this is it's too bad this wasn't released. Maybe because he had just put out Stand in the Fire a year before. But this would have been a tremendous live album as well. Again, one of those not illegal, just dubiously legal, radio broadcasts. Some record company bought the rights. Warren and his band were on fire there. I picked up, this is sort of just an oddball out of nowhere. I bought a lot of CDs this year. Gordon Lightfoot, live at Montreux Jazz Festival, 1976. Gord put out a brilliant live album in 1969 and did not put out another live album until the early 2000s, which comprised shows from the late 90s at Massey Hall. We went all those years without hearing an official live album from what could arguably be called the prime years. And so this, when I saw it, I went, I wonder how the quality is. I looked up the sound quality, I looked up the videos on YouTube. The sound quality was great. This, again, just like that Zevon one, if Gord would have put this out in 76, it would have been a platinum record. It was so good. It's a couple of songs that wouldn't come out until the next studio album. But yeah, this is just, it's got almost everything you need. Oddly, Carefree Highway is not on here. Sundown is, but Carefree Highway is not. And yet The Auctioneer is. Go figure. But Gord, whatever the set list, he did it brilliantly, and he was in fine form here. And so, going on 30 minutes already, I'm seeing we're at 26 and a half minutes, so if you've managed to stay with me this long, thank you. If you break it up, I don't blame you. I don't have much patience either. One of my favorite purchases of the year, and arguably, I should have talked about this earlier, but I guess what a way to end, the reissue of the year. So many of us have been waiting for this. Anno Domini, the Black Sabbath box set featuring Tony Martin, 1989 to 95. And so it does not have the Eternal Idol in here, because that was done on a different record company. And so this is from the IRS years. This also does not have 1992's one-off reunion with Ronnie James Dio, Dehumanizer. What this has, 1989's Headless Cross, 1990's Tear, 1994's Cross Purposes, and 1995's Forbidden. Forbidden has been dumped on by so many people over the years, including me. The production was crap on it. Even on the CD, the volume in some songs changed. The record company sort of pressured them to use an outside producer, Ernie C. from the band Body Count, best known for being fronted by Ice-T, who does a small spoken word part on The Illusion of Power, which was a big turnoff back then. I don't mind it as much now. It's still not my favorite album, but oh my word, if you're a Sabbath fan and you haven't heard the new remix of Forbidden, Tony made it sound like a Black Sabbath album. It didn't originally. And it had Tony Martin singing, Jeff Nichols on keyboards, Cozy Powell on drums, and Neil Murray on bass. And that's the same lineup that had done Tear, which was phenomenal. More guitar. Cozy's drums are at the forefront where they should be. There's a huge poster in here, 40-page booklet. I'm not going to tear it all apart. And this actually, it charted. It sold out. And it shows that the music, Black Sabbath. So here, I featured, and I bought some Ozzy stuff this year that I didn't have on vinyl. But Sabbath was so much more than just Ozzy and Ronnie James Dio, as evidenced by Born Again. And then these Tony Martin records are phenomenal. Of course, I had to buy the CD version of it too. Why? Because there are, and I haven't even opened the damn thing yet, but there are bonus tracks on 3 out of the 4 albums here. And so, because why not? And I'll get to it one day. But I've heard the bonus tracks online. They're really good. This is really worth having. If you're a Black Sabbath fan, and you're unfamiliar with Tony Martin and you don't want to shell out the money for the vinyl box set, go get the CD box set. I've heard nothing but good things about this too. So now will come the arduous task of integrating last year's purchases in with the older collection. And I've been sort of rearranging down here a bit anyway. Thank you for bearing with me. I know there's going through that much music, even in half an hour, you just can't go in depth, and I'm sorry about that, but every one of these is worth looking up, believe me. So I'll get to more videos soon. I keep saying that. You know, I've talked so much about my personal life on here over the years. My goal is to talk quite a bit less about it. That said, I was one of those who, in the holidays, really got down in a funk. I had the blues really bad, and I just had no motivation to do much of anything other than go to work, come home, you know, listen to music, cuddle with the dogs, watch a little TV, you know. That's just how it is. But thankfully, feeling a lot better now after the holidays are behind us. And so I look forward to this coming year. I look forward to talking with all of you guys more. Take care of yourselves. I say this in my Facebook videos, and I don't know if this is appropriate to say here, but tell the people you care about how you feel about them. It's really important. So cheers, everyone. Take care.